That's good.
Okay, so we did it with the intent of decreasing our carbon footprint. So the plants and grasses will put oxygen back into the air, and it also provides a layer of insulation for us, so it keeps it warmer in the winter and cooler in the summer. There's not a black flat roof that just sets off heat waves and stuff into the air. Also up here you will see the skylights. Those are to let in as much natural light into the library as possible. And then the things that are arched over them are lights. So when it gets dark here at 4:30, then there will still be some light coming in, and hopefully we'll fool you into thinking it's natural light. And then the tall spinning things are anemometers, and they are measuring the wind speed and wind direction. Right now they're just collecting the data about the wind, where it's coming from, how fast is it, you know, is it more or less on which days. I keep thinking that at some point they'll be like, okay, we've been open for 4 years, we have all this data, let's see what we can do with it, and you know, ideally they'll find a way to harness it, because even on the most sultry summer day, they're still spinning. It's partially because they're at like different heights and stuff, and so it's really to see, is there a pattern, is there, you know, and so what would be most advantageous if they do decide to harness it? Do you want them tall? Do you want them short? You know, where's the best place to put them? There are 16 solar panels up here, and they provide enough energy for a typical 3-bedroom home in this area. We do use the energy that's created directly in our building, and so if we ever collect more than we use, it spins our meter backwards and we get a credit in the system. And then on days when we have to pull from the system, then our meter spins forward again. So, you know, it's definitely decreased the amount of energy that we pull from the grid, for sure. And like even on a day like today, it'll still collect the UV rays, so they're still pulling even on a cloudy, overcast day like today. I think one of the other benefits, it's totally unrelated to what we may have intended, but it's really brought us a lot of attention. And so we've been in a couple of magazines. I know there's a couple of like environmental books that feature green roofs that we're in, and so it's actually ended up being really good publicity for the library as well. It's hard to say exactly how much, but we've definitely gotten visits from, you know, people who have specifically come. We had a photovoltaic class come because they wanted to see the solar panels. We've had people come from other library systems to see how we implemented it, and so yeah, there's definitely been people coming specifically for the green roof as well. The librarians don't do any maintenance. There is maintenance that needs to be done on the roof though, and so because we're part of City of Seattle, it's one of their maintenance crews that will come out and do whatever needs to be done. We picked grasses that only grow to a certain height, but they still need to mow it twice a year, and part of it is to keep the grasses around the solar panel down low enough that they're not covered up, but it also helps the plants reseed. The birds and wind have brought some extra species up here that we weren't planning on. So like we've had Scotch broom growing up here, and so they'll pull that. We've also gotten some dandelions and thistle and stuff like that, but we just let that go. They're not so invasive that they'll take over the whole roof. And, so we do have a lot of other environmental features inside, like in our men's restroom there's waterless urinals. The lights are in certain areas are on motion detection, and so if there's no movement detected, then the lights will turn off to save energy and things like that. A lot of recycled materials. This is actually a cutaway of of the roof so that, because once you're up there, you can't see what's underneath it. So the very first thing is a waterproof layer to obviously keep the water from damaging the books and the building. And then there's an insulation layer to help keep it warm in the winter and cool in the summer. And then there's this thing that looks like a fibrous mat, and it's actually a root barrier, and it's to keep the roots of the plants from going in and penetrating and ruining either the insulation or that waterproof barrier. And then there's this thing that looks like an egg carton, and that is also up there to help prevent erosion. It slows down the absorption rate of the water. So most of the time in Seattle, it's just kind of a light, misty rain, and the soil up there can absorb it pretty easily. But on days when we actually get a heavy rain or really consistent rain and the soil can absorb it all at once, the grooves in there help slow it down and prevent the soil from washing away. And then any water that still isn't absorbed does end up going down into the sewage system. And then there's about 4 inches of soil, and then the plants on top of that. And then here's another example of the anemometers that we have up there. They are tied to these black boxes that you'll see up here, and so they reflect the data that's being collected. So typically they should be moving in some